Which country has the best NBA starting 5? In today's video, we're going to name the top 10. My rule is that the players of each country's team have to have played in the NBA. This isn't an Olympic ranking, it's an NBA ranking. Also, I'll only have one player represent one country. Take for example Giannis, who can technically represent Greece or Nigeria. I will place him on the overall more talented team to give him a better opportunity. So without further ado, let's rebound onto that list. Dominican Republic at 10th place. Point guard, Chris Duarte. Shooting guard, Francisco Garcia. Small forward, Karl Anthony Towns. Power forward, Charlie Villanueva. Center, Al Horford. This team has an outstanding front court and a solid back court. Chris Duarte is only a rookie as of this upload, and he's putting up solid numbers at 13 points per game. Francisco Garcia is more of a small forward, but he has played the 2 position for many seasons, and he's more of a role player, but during his prime, he was a fair starter. The best aspects of this team are in its front court. You got 2 All-Stars in Al Horford and in Karl Anthony Towns, and you have an all-star caliber player in Charlie. Well, he never made an all-star team. In his best season, he put up over 16 points per game and is a solid 2-way player. If this was an actual NBA starting 5, I can see this lineup as a playoff team, but not a championship level starting 5. Chris and Kat are your team's best shooters. Al Horford and Charlie are the best defenders. If this team had a stronger backcourt with either more firepower, defense, or playmaking, this team could have been ranked higher. In 9th place is Slovenia. At point guard, we got Goran Dragic. Shooting guard, Beno Udrih. Small forward, Luka Dončić. Power forward, Bojan Nakbar. Center, Primož Brezec. This starting 5 has 2 All-Stars in Goran and Luka, and solid starters in Beno, Bojan, and Primož. It's hard to say how good this team can truly be since Luka is technically not in his prime yet. This team's best strength is playmaking, but heavily lacks athleticism, overall scoring, and elite tier defense. Beno started for the Kings, but mainly rode the bench for 2 of the Spurs championship runs. Bojan is a solid role player, but really shouldn't be starting on a championship level team. He played his best during his years with the Nets. Luka will do much of the heavy lifting on offense, and Goran can score if he's tasked to, but as a unit, this team really only has 1, maybe 2 players who can create their own shot. I do have Slovenia ahead of Dominican Republic since I see Luka as a tier 1 all-star, a franchise level talent. While Kat might be close to that, he still has to prove he can make the playoffs without Jimmy Butler. Luka can carry this team, but there is quite the competition going forward. I do see this team as a playoff caliber team, but not a championship caliber team. 8th place, Australia. Point guard, Patty Mills. Shooting guard, Kyrie Irving. Small forward, Ben Simmons. Power forward, Luke Longley. Center, Andrew Bogut. Team Australia might have more problems off the court than on the court. If Ben Simmons and Kyrie can find a way to stay on the court, this team has a lot to be excited about. The front court has elite rim protecting. Andrew Bogut is a block champ and an all-defensive player. Luke was the starting center on one of the best defensive teams in NBA history, being Jordan's Bulls during the 90s, and Ben Simmons is a 2-time all-defensive player who can guard 4 positions, sometimes even the 5th position, the center position, depending on the matchup. The biggest issue this team has is spacing, especially the front court. No one on the front court has range, so I see a lot of iso ball with Kyrie Irving. This team reminds me somewhat of an Allen Iverson-led team, a team with a score-first guard surrounded by a top-tier defensive front court. Patty Mills also deserves recognition as he is a 3-point sharpshooter. I can see this team make deep playoff runs and maybe make the finals, but I don't know how confident I would be in saying that this is a championship caliber team. 7th place, Canada. Point guard, Steve Nash. Shooting guard, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Small forward, Jamal Murray. Power forward, Andrew Wiggins. Center, Tristan Thompson. Canadians are nice people, but this is a pretty scary starting 5. You have an MVP caliber point guard, one of the best to ever play the position in Steve Nash, and 2 other players who I would put at an all-star tier in Shai and Jamal. While on paper, they have never been invited to an all-star game yet, I can see it happening in the future, and I think they are good enough to be invited to an all-star game as of this upload. Andrew Wiggins has also proved to improve his game as of recent. Tristan Thompson is a top-tier offensive rebounder and a great rebounder overall. His scoring is subpar, and his his defense is mediocre, but I really like how balanced this overall team is. While this team won't rely on hero ball, Steve Nash can take over games if it becomes absolutely necessary. This team has good spacing at positions 1 through 4. This team is also athletic and fast. Mike D'Antoni's Suns teams were always quick to get the shot up, and this starting 5 can emulate that with its athleticism. What this team lacks is rim protection. Tristan is an undersized center who is a good rebounder, but if they are going up against a team with an elite offensive center, they can be in trouble. I can see the starting 5 make deep playoff runs and maybe make the finals, but it's hard to say if they can win championships. Steve Nash himself had better starting 5s before and couldn't pull it off, but I do like this team over Australia's team thanks to its range and spacing. 6th place, Team Spain. Point guard Ricky Rubio. Shooting guard Jose Calderon. Small forward Wally Szczerbiak. Power forward Pau Gasol, center Marc Gasol. Team Spain will give their opponents a ton of Spain without the S. This is a very balanced team with a playmaking backcourt and a two-way frontcourt who can give you all-star caliber defense and offense. Pau and Marc are great defenders and scorers. Marc is the better defender and Pau is the better offensive talent, and they have great chemistry together. Wally Szczerbiak is an underrated player who is an all-star and one of the best three-point shooters around. He shoots from beyond the arc at around 40% and over 45% during his best season. In his prime, he was putting up over 20 points per game. Rubio and Calderon are both pass-first guards, but if need be, they have range, and Rubio can create his own shot. This is a very balanced team with a lot of different ways to score and set up plays. While Team Canada has MVP caliber talent, and you could argue this team doesn't, I have Spain ahead of Canada since overall I think Team Spain has more size and tougher defense. I can see Team Spain have deep playoff runs and even make the finals. It's tough to say if this is a truly championship caliber team. 5th place, Team Serbia. Point guard Bogdan Bogdanovic. Shooting guard Peja Stojakovic. Small forward Nenad Kristic. Power forward Vlade Divac. Center Nikola Jokic. Team Serbia has serious all-star power. They have an MVP caliber player in Nikola Jokic who is only 26 as of this upload, and you can argue we haven't even seen his peak yet, and he's already had one of the most efficient MVP seasons in history. A Hall of Famer in Vlade and a 3-time All-Star in Peja. Bogdan Bogdanovic is more of a shooting guard, but he's a solid scorer who can give you 15 points a night. This team has 4 two-way great players and a solid starter Nenad. This team will be tough to guard, but their biggest issue will be spacing, speed, and matchups. For starters, Nenad is a 7-footer who's more of a center, but he can play the 4. He might be a bit too slow to play the 3. This team lacks a true point guard. Bogdan is a shooting guard, and Vlade is also a center who's being stuffed at 4 since I would prefer the Joker in the middle. With that being said, you may think this team would be a mess and should be ranked lower, but I do think that these players can benefit off of Nikola's play style and vice versa. He himself is a slower center who plays a fundamental game down low, but also has great range. Plus, he's a great passer, and this team will be tough to guard as it has a lot of size. The biggest question would be if this team can win a chip with a starting 5 like this. That is a tough question that mainly depends on how much Nikola can continue to improve his already elite game. They are certainly a deep playoff team and a finals team, but winning it all is tough to say. 4th place, Germany. Point guard Dennis Schroeder. Shooting guard Franz Wagner. Small forward Kiki Vandeweghe. Power forward Carlos Boozer. Center Dirk Nowitzki. Team Germany has a lot of underrated players and 3 legendary all-stars. Dirk speaks for himself. He's an MVP, finals MVP, and one of the best at his position. Carlos Boozer in his prime during his Utah days was an absolute unit who can give you over 21 points per game. Kiki Vandeweghe is an extremely underrated player and a 2-time all-star who played alongside Alex English with the Nuggets. Of course, that was Alex's team, but Kiki made a really close second as both were putting up nearly 30 points per game. Kiki averaged 29.4 in his best season, and this was during a tough defensive 80s era. Franz Wagner is only a rookie and has the potential to develop into an all-star as he's putting up 15 points per game. And last but not least, there is Dennis, who at his best can be argued as a near all-star caliber player, but regardless, is a starters caliber combo guard even on a good playoff team. Team Germany certainly has a championship caliber starting five. Dirk has won more with less and has made it to the finals twice with less. You are pretty much giving Dirk 2 All-Stars, 1 near All-Star, and a rookie with a lot of potential. This team has range, scoring, defense, and MVP caliber talent. Third place, France. Point guard Tony Parker, shooting guard Evan Fournier, small forward Dominique Wilkins, power forward Joakim Noah, center Rudy Gobert. Team France has the most near MVPs with Dominique Wilkins, Tony Parker, and even prime Joakim Noah, who were all in the MVP race but missed out due to the intense competition. Noah came 4th in voting in 2014 and was a top-tier defensive player during his prime. He and Rudy are both Defensive Player of the Years. Dominique Wilkins played during the 80s and the 90s, who lucked out against the Showtime Lakers, Larry Celtics, and Jordan's Bulls. But he is an MVP caliber talent, and Tony Parker, who is a Finals MVP, certainly was a near MVP level during his prime. Evan Fournier is probably the weakest player on this starting five, but even then, that's a compliment to this team's overall talent, and he himself is a solid starter who can give you over 18 points per game if need be. From top to bottom, this team has a lot of weapons, from elite scoring with Dominique to elite defense with Rudy and Noah. They also have elite playmaking and passing with Tony Parker. This team probably isn't the best 3-point shooting team, and their big men lack a lot of range, but they definitely make it up with defense and their ability to attack the rim and protect the rim. This team is a championship caliber starting five with 4 All-Stars and 2 Defensive Player of the Years. Second place, Team Nigeria. Point guard Monte Morris, shooting guard Kalana Azubuike, small forward Giannis Antetokounmpo, power forward Jahlil Okafor, center Akeem Olajuwon. Team Nigeria has 2 absolute legends and at least 1 potential GOAT, maybe 2 GOATs if Giannis plays his cards right. The NBA is a star-driven league, and with a top 10, maybe even top 5 player all-time with Akeem Olajuwon and a top 30, maybe top 20 all-time with Giannis, this team is a dynasty in the making. Both Akeem and Giannis are Finals MVPs, regular season MVPs, and Defensive Player of the Years. Sure, Jahlil was a one-hit wonder who was reduced to a bench player, and yes, Monte and Kalana are just solid average starters, but when you got 2 potential GOATs on your starting five, you are going to make it quite far. How are opposing teams going to stop both Giannis and Akeem? There are not many defenders who can handle these 2 man-to-man, and if you double team one, you're simply giving the other a free basket. This team is athletic, defensive, and has scoring firepower. Their only weakness might be the lack of 3-point shooting or deep range, but that can definitely be made up with all the positives this team has. Team Nigeria is easily a championship team and even a potential dynasty who can win multiple rings, though that would be a challenge. First place, United States of America. Point guard Magic Johnson, shooting guard Michael Jordan, small forward LeBron James, power forward Tim Duncan, center Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And last but not least, the USA starting five is pretty much the GOAT starting five, the best player at each position. There's not much that needs to be said. This is more than a super team. It's the Avengers and Justice League of basketball. One small issue for this squad, and it's nitpicking with this level of talent, could be spacing and range, but you could fix that by swapping Magic out with Steph Curry or Kevin Durant with Tim Duncan. Not that I think Steph and Kevin are better than Tim and Magic, but it would fix those issues at the price at hurting this starting five's top tier defense. Magic and Tim are way better defenders than Steph and KD. Certainly this team is a championship and dynasty caliber squad. So here are my top 10 starting fives from every country. Let me know what you think of this list and what type of content you want to see in the future. Don't forget to dunk on that like button and subscribe with notifications turned on. I'm Rebound Rewind, and I'll fast forward to you later.